The reality is we all live in a box that we create for ourselves, made up of the stories of who we think we are, what our place is in the world, what we're all about. Our stories of how we see the world and who we are actually rarely change. For example, one bright, crisp fall day on a Friday in New Hampshire, this was almost 30 years ago, a little girl by the name of Shannon showed up at the New England Salem Children's Village when my wife Louise and I ran the program. This is the community for abandoned and abused children I've mentioned often, salemchildrensvillage.org. She's a cute little 10-year-old, pigtails, freckles, seemed harmless and lovable. It was an emergency placement, and the social worker who dropped her off didn't know anything about her history and said she'd get that information for us the following Monday. That night, Louise and I, who were living in the house next door to where Shannon was staying, heard screams coming from this house. So we ran over to the children's house, and Nancy, one of our house parents, explained to us a few minutes later, everything was fine, but here's what happened. Nancy had told Shannon to get her pajamas on, get ready to, get tucked in, and Shannon did, and Nancy sat down on the bed next to her and just reached over to touch her back, just to give her a little pat on the back. And as she touched Shannon's back, Shannon exploded off the bed at her, screaming, scratching, clawing. Nancy's training kicked in. She immediately basically wrapped herself around Shannon to prevent this little girl from damaging herself or doing more damage to Nancy, and gently talked her down. You're safe. We're not going to hurt you. Everything's going to be okay. In the process of this, Shannon, the shirt, the top part of Shannon's, what do you call it, sleeping clothes, got hiked up, and what Nancy saw was a 10-year-old back that was covered with fresh and old cigarette burns. What we discovered that night was that Shannon was the little girl who lived with a story that said, this is the story that she told herself, I'm the little girl who's so bad, the only way you can control my behavior is by putting cigarettes out on me. This was a story that over and over and over in her life, her parents had validated. And our work over the next several years that she was in the program was to change her stories, which is one of the most difficult things you can do, to change the story a person tells about who they are and how they fit into the world. We had to say to her, you know that box you think you live in and that you think that it's all true, that you're the bad one, the difficult one, the one who's so bad you can only be controlled with violence? We had to say to her, that's not you. We had to change her stories over the years to include things like, I'm the bright one, I'm the lovable one, and I can change the world if I decide to.